Listen, y'all. Don't be down here living in misery. Okay? Don't be down here on earth living in misery. We find it so difficult to pull ourselves out of our own levels of sadness and depression and misery. Constantly comparing ourselves to other people. Constantly looking at ourselves as if we are not good enough. Telling ourselves we are not good enough. Can you imagine? In 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, you look back on this time in your life and you think about how much time you wasted believing that you were not enough. How much time you wasted believing that you were not thin enough, pretty enough, worthy enough. Imagine when you are 70 years old and you look back on this time of your life and think about how much time you wasted thinking that you were not fine. And I mean that in every way that you can think of. If you were in your 30s now, look back to when you were in your 20s. How you thought about yourself in your 20s, the things that you allowed to happen to yourself in your 20s, the mistakes you made in your 20s. In your 30s now, you look back on your 20s and you say, if I could tell my 21-year-old self something, it would be. And that's because right now you realize how much time you wasted believing that you were not enough of something. If you in your 40s, now look back on your 30s and then your 20s and think about all of the mistakes you made. Think about all of the negative thinking that you may have had about yourself. All of the late night conversations you had with yourself. All of the times you cried over someone who rejected you. All of the time you spent reliving your childhood trauma. Okay, and we can do that for each decade old that we are. We can look back on the decade before and see where we were in misery unnecessarily. Okay, so don't be down here consistently living in misery. Love yourself where you are currently. Tell yourself every day when you wake up, I love you. Before you go to bed, I love you. Randomly throughout the day, I love you. Some of us don't even hear that at all if we don't say it to ourselves. And if we don't say it to ourselves, imprint it on ourselves, then what are we doing? The acts of self-love go so much farther than just self-pampering. Okay? So if you have not heard it today, you are incredible. You are talented and beautiful and fine and capable and able and loved and loving and lovable. You are divine God source energy. Baby, please, okay? It is a blessing to know you. It is an honor to be in your company, God. I love you. Thank you for being present, for having the courage every day to show up as yourself. It takes courage to do that. It takes courage every day to get up and face the world, despite the world. In spite of the world, you get up and you do it every single day. Thank you for contributing to the best energy that the universe has to provide. Thank you. You don't hear it enough. I know you don't hear it enough. You don't even say it to yourself enough. You just on the grind. You are amazing. And there is nothing wrong with you. So don't be down here living in no misery. You remind yourself every day of the divine being that you are. If you believe in God and you believe that you came from God, then you carry yourself as a descendant of the Most High. No one gets to disrespect you, speak to you poorly, or treat you poorly, not even yourself, because God is watching through your own eyes. Respect yourself, love yourself, honor yourself, pull that joy up out of yourself. Do the things that make you happy, do the things that make you smile, laugh. Don't you be down here living in no misery, child.